Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a pretty toxic yet effective strategy in the Holiday Cup, and that is double rock throw. For the team, I'm running Tropius on the lead to take care of any counter users or lanterns. I have rock throw Alolan Graveler as the safe switch, and as the closer, I'm running AURORUS, but not with Powder Snow. I am actually running rock throw. I tested this team out for a few sets and honestly had a ton of success with it. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Rock Throw AURORUS in action in the Holiday Cup. Hopping to the first match, picking up a great lead, Tropius into Lantern. Even if they have Spark, this is a great spot to be in. My opponent will immediately save switch into Wigglytuff, and I'm going to fire off a Leaf Blade to get some chip damage since I don't have a clean response here. Leaf Blade is able to land, and now I get to send in AURORUS. My goal is to commit one shield, rock throw all the way down, and leave with a nice amount of energy, and I should be able to hopefully get the shield back or deal massive damage with a Meteor Beam. My opponent is going to send in Spark Lantern, and I'm going to fire off the Meteor Beam on the CMP tied to the Surf. Meteor Beam will hit for heavy neutral damage if it lands, which it does, and now my rock throws are boosted. You know what? Let's take advantage of that. I decide to actually commit my final shield here. I'm going to farm up, throw 4, and then go for the Weather Ball. This Weather Ball is resisted, but it will KO if my opponent lets it through. They shield, aggressive switch back into the Tropius, and I'm able to catch the Surf. That is massive. Lantern is going to stay in here. They're looking to try and bank a Surf for later, and they do. In the back, they have Altaria. Altaria, a pretty terrible matchup for Tropius, but the two rock throw users that I have in the back will absolutely destroy the Altaria. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm not going to be able to reach 2 more moves, so I'm just going to go for the Aerial Ace. This will get some solid neutral chip damage. Altaria does get the farm down, but now I can just send in Rock Throw Alolan Graveler. Even if they Moonblast, it's not going to KO. I can comfortably tank this and farm all the way down. Lantern has a move, but not enough HP remaining. This Surf is going to KO, but I can comfortably farm down with AURORUS, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, picking up a pretty nice lead, Tropius into Trevenant. This is why having Air Slash is very nice. My opponent is going to check the fast move and then save switch into Vigoroth. I am absolutely staying in this matchup because Tropius is by far my best answer to Vigoroth. Vigoroth will be able to spam out Body Slam after Body Slam in this matchup. That's perfectly fine by me. My goal is to tank 2 Body Slams, overfarm a decent amount, and then fire off the Leaf Blade to get the KO. Body Slam number 2 is being fired by the Vigoroth. I'm going to continue to farm up and fire off the Leaf Blade just before they get their 3rd Body Slam. This will KO. This is in time for my opponent. They're going to let this through. My opponent, do they bring in the Trevenant or do we see the 3rd here? They're waiting their clock. They send in Frostlass, and I panic fire off the Leaf Blade. I really should have just pivoted there, but either way, now I get to pivot into Graveler, and in comes the Trevenant. Trevenant will go for the Seed Bomb. 1 Seed Bomb is not going to be enough to KO, so I'm going to let this through. That is going to get me quite low, but at this point, I should just be able to double shield and rock throw through the rest of their team. I'm able to grab a shield with the Rock Blast, and now I'm in a pretty nice spot where AURORUS should be able to close this game. I'm going to let this through. I do tank 1 Seed Bomb, and now I'm just going to rock throw the rest of the team down. In comes Frostlass. Frostlass not going to be able to reach enough moves, and AURORUS gets the win. Tough lead in the next match, Tropius into Altaria. I'm going to throw 1 Air Slash to get a bit of an energy lead, and then save switch into Alolan Graveler. My opponent is going to respond with a Shadow Alolan Sandslash. That is an incredibly cool pick. I farm up, they're going to strike first, and I will commit the shield, as Ice Punch would do quite a lot of neutral damage. I'm going to return fire here, going for the Rock Blast. Rock Blast would get them low, so we do see my opponent shield as well. I continue to farm, and I'm able to win CMP. That is incredibly good. This should force the final shield, and with shield advantage, AURORUS should hopefully be able to put in a ton of work in the end game. That's an Ice Punch. It's going to KO. I should be able to farm down with AURORUS before they reach a Bulldoze. So this should only be an Ice Punch, so I am not going to be shielding here. I'm going to let that through. Ice Punch not going to do a lot of damage. They're not bringing back in the Altaria. In the back, they have a Alolan Sandshrew, so they are running the entire family. You love to see it. They're going to spam out Night Slashes. I let the first one through. Thankfully, they do not get the boost. I'm going to overfarm, wait a turn, and then go for the Meteor Beam. This Meteor Beam should be getting rid of the Sandshrew. Back in comes Altaria. Boosted rock throws, tearing through the Altaria. and I fall just short of the Weather Ball, and now I have to rely on Tropius to try and take out the Altaria. Altaria has energy. I'm pretty sure I have to tank a Sky Attack, so I let it through. Sky Attack gets me very low. I think if I can make it to a Leaf Blade plus an Aerial Ace, I can win this game. Leaf Blade gets him low. Tropius able to hang on and get to the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace takes care of the Altaria, and that is a good game. Picking up a neutral lead in the next match, Tropius into Sableye. For this matchup, I typically recommend staying in it to start, getting some chip damage, tanking a move, and then switching. But as you're going to see here, I do choose to play it slightly differently. I land it, they continue to farm, I try and get fancy with it, catch a return, but I'm not able to do so, and I'm met with a Water Gun Lantern. Definitely good to bait out Water Gun Lantern, as AURORUS does not want to see that in the back. I go for the Stone Edge connects, and gets them very low. Lantern does get the farm down, but a Rock Throw Alolan Graveler was almost able to take them out. I'm going to send in Tropius just to absorb this energy, and the one Air Slash should be enough to KO. The thing is that Sableye does have a ton of loaded energy, and they're going to fire it off here. If they go foul play, it should barely not KO, and they do. Tropius able to hang on and return fire with the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade will KO, so we will see a shield, and now I send in AURORUS. We baited out the Water Gun Lantern. I have to hope there's not a second rock counter in the back, and there is. They have Dubwool in the back, and I concede the match. Moving into the next match, picking up a very nice lead, Tropius into Lantern. We'll have to see, is my opponent willing to stay in the matchup? And yes, they are. They will be able to strike first with the Thunderbolt. I will immediately let this go, as Thunderbolt is not even going to do half of my health. I'm able to tank that, and now I get to return fire with the Leaf Blades. Leaf Blade number 1 is going to land, getting the Lantern into the yellow. Tropius able to outpace to the second, and now it's decision time for my opponent. They do have a lot of stored energy here, and they will commit the shield. I continue to farm. They throw an alignment, and honestly, I'm fine with letting this go. They fire the Thunderbolt. Tropius able to hang on and reach the last second Leaf Blade, but my opponent is able to catch that onto their Sableye. I get some nice chip damage, and now I'm going to send in AURORUS. I'm hoping that I am going to be able to one shield and rock throw all the way down, but unfortunately, as you're going to see, Sableye is just a bit too healthy, so at the last second I decide to fire off a Weather Ball just to ensure that I don't have to take a second foul play. That's going to KO. Opponent sends in Lantern, and it ends up being a CMP tie Weather Ball to the Surf. If they're bringing back in the Lantern, I'm hoping this means they are going to be weak to AURORUS in the back. They fire off the Surf. I let this go. In comes their final Pokemon, and it's Frostlass, and this game is over. Alolan Graveler is going to get to farm the Frostlass all the way down. I commit the shield. Frostlass goes for the Shadow Ball. Graveler gets the farm down, and that is a good game. Tough lead in the next match, Tropius into Lickitung. I'll be honest, Lickitung wasn't really a Pokemon that I was prepping for in the Holiday Cup, as this is honestly the first one that I've seen. However, for this particular squad, Lickitung is definitely a bit of a problem spot due to the fact that it is absolutely absurdly tanky. Lickitung has overfarmed quite a bit, and they're going to start firing off these Body Slams. Body Slam number 1 is able to land. They're going for Body Slam number 2. I'm going to let this through as well. Tropius is going to return fire with the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to get them low, and then I'm going to look to save switch into the Alolan Graveler. In comes the Graveler, and they have a Vigoroth in the back. This is not looking good for me whatsoever. I go for the Stone Edge. Stone Edge will do a ton of damage if it lands, so my opponent commits the shield. That is unfortunate, as now Vigoroth is going to farm down, and I resign the match. Picking up a pretty nice lead in the next match, Tropius into Dubwool. Always happy to catch one of the faux fighters on the lead, so that way, hopefully I can keep it away from my rock types in the back. They are farming up a ton of energy, so I'm just going to fire off a Leaf Blade, get some nice chip damage. My opponent is going to bank the energy, save switch Frostlass, and it's time for Rock Throw AURORUS to shine. They'll fire off a Shadow Ball. That's perfectly fine by me. I can tank the Shadow Ball, farm all the way down, and leave with a ton of energy loaded to threaten the Dubwool. I do win CMP over the Dubwool, so I go for the Weather Ball right away. My opponent recognizes that, and they go for the extra double kick. They're now going to fire off the Body Slam. I'm honestly fine with letting this go since they do have the back-to-back moves, and I'm just going to bring back in the Tropius. Tropius goes for the Leaf Blade, but loses CMP to the Double. Double goes for the Body Slam, and they are not able to switch as they're stuck with the CMP tie. I fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade gets them low in the back. They have Pelipper. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Tough lead in the next match, Tropius into another Altaria. Same game plan as before, one air slash, save switch into a Lowland Graveler, and my opponent responds with Vigoroth. Definitely good to bait out the Vigoroth as it would absolutely shred Aurorus in the back. Rock Blast is able to get the shield. I continue to farm. Vigoroth does not want to take any chances, and they're going to fire off a Body Slam. Body Slam gets me low, and one more counter gets the KO. So I got the Vigoroth below half health, and on top of that, by baiting out the counter user, hopefully this is going to set up Aurorus to sweep. Body Slam lands, that's perfectly fine. They go for Body Slam number 2, not worried about that whatsoever. I'm going to be able to tank that, no problem. And I'm going to overfarm again slightly, and then fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade will KO, and now it's Aurorus time. In the bag, they have Obstagoon. Double Fighter, can't do much, and I concede the match. Same leads in the next match, Tropius into Altaria. Same game plan as before, I'm going to throw one air slash and then save switch into a Lowland Graveler, and I'm able to bait out their rock counter, which happens to be Double. I'm going to fire off a Rock Blast. These rock throws are adding up quite a bit, so even something like a Rock Blast can force a shield. My opponent is going to return fire with some energy of their own, and I'm just going to let this through. They go for the payback, and payback is enough to KO. And now I'm going to wait my timer and bring in Tropius. It's now Tropius' job to get rid of the Double, so that way my Aurorus can hopefully sweep in the endgame. They're going to fire off a charge move. They go for the Body Slam. I'm able to tank it, farm up to the back-to-back Leaf Blades, and I'm going to be firing off Leaf Blade number 1 into the Double. Double gets taken out. In comes Aurorus, and it's Dunsparce in the back. This is not great. Dunsparce does have a winning matchup against Aurorus, but I do have a shield advantage, so I should hopefully be able to put in some work here. Tough decision to make. I build up to the Meteor Beam, and I'm going to bait with a Weather Ball. Weather Ball gets the shield. Dunsparce throws on alignment and gives me a rock throw for free. That is massive. I think now I should be able to outpace. It's going to be a race. Aurorus wins CMP over Dunsparce and is able to reach the Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam KOs. In comes Altaria, taking these boosted rock throws. They're forced to fire off a charge move into the Aurorus. Altaria goes for the Moonblast. That's going to KO. And now it's all up to Tropius. Tropius is going to be going for this Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to get them low. It's a fast move race. And Tropius gets the farm down. Hopping to the final match, picking up a tough lead, Tropius into yet another Altaria. Same game plan as before, one air slash, then save switch into Graveler, and my opponent is not switching out. This gives me hope that they're very weak to rock on their team. So you know what? I'm actually going to commit the shield here. Let's see what Graveler can do. These rock throws absolutely shredding through the Altaria. I'm going to fire off the Rock Blast. Rock Blast would be lethal from here. My opponent is going to let it go, and then they're going to send in a Spark Lantern. I'll fire off the Rock Blast on what would have been a CMP tie, but my opponent does go for the extra. Rock Blast is able to get the shield. My opponent is going to continue to farm up and then fire off the Surf. I am perfectly fine with this. I was able to see the Lantern, and now I can just wait my clock, bring in Tropius, and have the alignment that I'm looking for. Tropius in a very nice spot here, and they have Talonflame in the back. Get absolutely deleted by Rock Throw Aurorus. They go for the Flame Charge. That's not gonna matter. Aurorus gets the farm down. My opponent is gonna try and play this out, but there's just no way they're going to be able to win. Surf is gonna get rid of Aurorus, but I can bring in Tropius, go for the Leaf Blade, and once a Leaf Blade lands, I can safely air slash down. Leaf Blade lands. Tropius not quite able to get the farm down, but a Thunderbolt is non-lethal here anyway. They end up going for the Surf. We get the farm down, and that is a good game. All in all, I had some really nice results with this team. I would say this is definitely a pretty toxic, fast move, pressure heavy strategy, but it proved to be a very effective strategy as well, as a lot of the meta seems to be very weak to rock at the moment. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.